Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Glimmer Gang Podcast. We have three great topics for episode 19 today after release weekend, and we are so excited for you guys to listen. And as always, everyone, take it away.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Glimmer Gang Podcast. I'm Lee Barbs, your de facto host for this episode. Let's lead it off with Lorcana release weekend recap. We just got past the Lorcana release weekend, and the three other members of the Glimmer Gang all got to do some pretty great stuff. So, Teddy, why don't you lead us off, my friend?
Yeah, so I got to enjoy the last day of my summer before I left for school playing a little Lorcana. I went to a starter deck challenge in my area. They were also selling product. They weren't selling full booster boxes, but we were able to buy 6 packs. So I was able to get a little package of those. And then as for my event and how I did, we got to actually choose our decks, which was pretty cool. I know a lot of people didn't get to choose their decks when they were just handing them out at random at other places. But I got to pick my deck. I chose Steel Sapphire. I was up in the air between Ruby Emerald and Steel Sapphire, but I ended up going with Steel Sapphire. And at first, they weren't allowing us to use the second pack. But after a while, they said we could, and I was able to put a Evasive Goofy, Mad Hatter, a John Silver, and a LeFou all on my deck. And having the ramp, but also having those big Emerald and Ruby cards to help just get more lore on the board, which was amazing. I ended up going 3-1. I lost my final round match to get first place, which big sad, but I'll move on. Yeah, that was kind of like my recap of my weekend. I'd say it was a pretty successful weekend. Didn't pull any enchanteds, but I still had a fun time nonetheless.
That's awesome, my friend. It's cool that you guys actually got to pick your decks. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it was nice, just like because you could see like what people's play styles were even more. And there are obviously a lot of new players who haven't played the decks before, but like those who had played, they got to pick the decks, and they did well with those decks because they were used to them and they understood them.
Love it. You love to see it. All right. Spencer, how about you, my friend? What did you get up to on this release weekend?
Yeah, so similarly with me, I got to do a starter deck challenge on Saturday. On Friday, my LGS did first come, first serve MSRP product, and I may have overslept and missed out on everything. So Sleepy Buffalo struck again. But that's okay. I've got enough product. I don't need more. Right? No, I was really hoping to pop some packs, but it is what it is. Then on Saturday, similarly, we did our starter deck challenge. You got to pick your deck, and I don't know if everybody just read Eric's Gamer article or what, but the Amber Amethyst decks got destroyed. Everyone picked Amber Amethyst. It was crazy. I went with Sapphire Steel purely because it was the only starter deck that I did not have two of, so I wanted to complete the whole two of set. I did okay. First game played against Amber Amethyst. Won. It was a newer player, but we had a good time. Taught him some stuff. I hope he enjoyed it. Then second match was Ruby Emerald, and I won that one. It was tight, but I managed to win it. Then my next two matches were against two more Ruby Emeralds. I think I played every single Ruby Emerald player that at the event. The my third match, the second Ruby Emerald player each match was so close. It was absolutely insane. It was like top deck came down to the very last second. Like all of them were crazy close. But really at the end of the day, for that one, I lost the coin flip. So he had first for the first game and the third game, and I just couldn't keep up. And then the last match, I also lost the coin flip, but that one was just a blowout. He just pulled all the answers exactly when he needed them. It was insane. Yeah, I got wrecked that round. So I ended up going 2-2. We were supposed to have 5 rounds, but then a lot of people dropped after the second round, so we ended up only having 4. But my LGS was incredibly generous and gave out pricing for top 16. We had 28 players, which was a pretty good showing for our location. You know, we're not in a big city or anything. It's not a big shop. And yeah, I walked away with 2 packs plus the one in my starter deck. Oh, the pack I pulled from my deck was trash. The only things I was able to take out of the pack and put into my deck was another Mickey Detective, a Flynn Rider, which I did not see once in 11 games, and my foil was another 5-cost Steel Simba, so it went into the deck. One of the people I played pulled a legendary foil Take Ha, and dropped it on the field on me, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? It was pretty great. The only enchanted pulled in the starter deck tournament was by a brand new player, not to Lorcana, to TCGs. They had never played a TCG in their life before, knew nothing. Apparently, like, they couldn't shuffle. Like, I didn't play them, but it was kind of awesome that they pulled that. But then also at the same time, like, they had no idea what like they actually had, so they couldn't really appreciate it as much. He was just gonna like throw it into his deck, no sleeves, nothing. And my luckily my shop owner saw it, and he was like, whoa. So then he got him a pack of sleeves to sleeve his deck up, and I was like, wait, you still had him play with the enchanted card? He was like, yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, I could have. It was the Maui. I was
let
like,
him proxy it or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I have Mauis. I would have let him borrow my Maui. Like, he was like, yeah, whatever. He didn't know what it was. I was like, okay, man. At least you made him sleeve it. That's okay.
Right.
But yeah, it was a really fun time. We had a bunch of Magic players that weren't really into Lorcana, but they just kind of tried it out for the hype. And, you know, like in between rounds, everyone was just kind of like standing outside, you know, chatting about the round or whatever. And a lot of the people that had just tried it out were pretty hyped. They were really surprised with how well the game played. They could see the depth potential of the game. And they were just kind of talking about, you know, where it could go and stuff like that. And it was super awesome to see the like skeptical, you know, people come in and then walk away like excited for the game. It was pretty cool.
That's what it's all about, man. Got to build up that community and stuff.
For sure.
One of the funny things I will say, just kind of like with your matchups, is I had a lot more success against Ruby Emerald in mine. Like the first 3 matchups I had was all Ruby Emerald, and I won them pretty easily, which is kind of just like interesting to me. Like the difference in just put a location on it, and one deck can do better than the other, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, I did well against one person. The other one, it was really back and forth, and then the other one, it was just I got wiped, and that's just kind of how Ruby Emerald goes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's just you either draw the fire or you don't. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds great, man. It sounds like you had, aside from waking up too late, it sounds like you had a really good time. All right, so let's turn it to Blake, who on the day of this recording, it's actually his birthday. So happy birthday, Blake!
Happy birthday, Blake.
Happy birthday, Blake.
Thank you.
How was your release weekend? How did you and the wife fare?
We fared pretty well. Friday release day was mainly me just running all around Toronto and the greater Toronto area, just picking up the pre-orders from various stores. uh, so I picked up a set of the starter decks and a bunch of accessories that I was able to pick up, which I did a video about it if you haven't seen that. Some neat stuff there. And then Saturday, I drove 2 hours all the way to London, Ontario, to Jaunty's store. Jaunty over at the Inkwell. Shout out to him. His store has an amazing community. They were very welcoming and everything. They had an interesting setup for their event. They capped it at 32 people, but they divided that 32 into 2 pods of 16. So you could register to one pod or the other, and basically the winners of both pods got a gift set. So my wife and I tried to divide and conquer, and we both entered into separate pods to increase our chances of getting some gift sets. But unfortunately, we both went 2-1, so we missed out on our opportunity to win the gift sets. For myself, I also had a Sapphire Steel deck. My first 2 matches were against Amber Amethyst. I won the first one, lost the second. It all depended on the pilots and drawing the ramp early on. I didn't get that in the second game. And then my third match was a mirror match that I won, which was pretty fun. And then their store allowed everyone that participated to buy up to 12 packs. So my wife and I were able to get a whole box, and we opened up the box that night. Nothing too crazy. I didn't get any enchanted, but I got a good number of cards, some good legendaries, and yeah, that was Saturday. And then Sunday was a learn to play event at a closer store, closer to me, only about 15 minutes out, and just had some good time getting some more starter decks. So by the end of the weekend, we had 2 of each starter deck, which is nice, and we were able to get an extra Amber Amethyst, which we've given to my wife's younger sister.
Nice.
And we spent some time teaching her to play as well, and she's been really getting into it and been able to pick it up really well.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you had such a good time. So Teddy, have you pulled an enchanted yet, or is Spencer the only one?
Spencer's the only one out of us so far.
Man,
We'll get there.
yeah,
We
that's
will
true.
get there. We will get there.
Oh, I will also say over at John T stores, you guys are kind of celebrities because you have popped in on his videos.
Hey,
There we go.
I like that.
Though I
You're
learned,
like, who are these people?
yeah, I learned that in order to be known, you need to be on a John T video. So I'm trying to arrange something with him to appear on one of his because I was like, oh yeah, I'm part of the Glimmer Gang, and yeah, that's how we know John T. We've done some content with him, and they're all like, oh, have you been on any videos with him? And I was just like, no, but my co-hosts have, and it's like, oh yeah, and then just kind of ignored me for the rest of the day.
No.
And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, and I will say for my pack on my starter deck on Saturday, the guy next to me, he was the one who got the enchanted for that day. I think he was the only one. He pulled the Enchanted Hades, while in my pack I got a foil Dinglehopper. So that was my luck.
Well, it sounds like everybody had a really great release weekend. I didn't get to go to anything, as you guys know. I had to work all weekend, and unfortunately, there's really no local scene in my area, so had to live through you guys. But I'm glad you guys all had a great time. Next thing on the docket, it's okay. So PPG has announced. If you don't know, PPG stands for Pro Play Games. It's a tournament organization. And they announced that they're doing their Disney Lorcana OP Tour. They announced 3 different events. I don't think any of us plan to go to the first one at NandesuCon in Denver, Colorado, which, from what I understand, from what I read into it, it's an anime convention.
Okay.
That's on September 2nd. They released pricing for it. I believe first place is 2 boxes, which seems kind of small. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think it's only 64 players as well, though.
Yeah, it's basically just a 1K. So the entire prize pool at MSRP is roughly $1,000. So it's not really the kind of event that you want to travel to unless you just really want to test yourself in the competitive and your competitive mettle. But if you're already attending, the convention, or if you live nearby and weren't planning to attend, well, now you can go hit up a Lorcana tournament, which sounds kind of awesome.
It's fun to finally be able to say that. I mean, we've been doing this for what, 6-7 months now, 8 months, something like that.
It's yeah.
It's
Well,
about.
8,
Didn't we start in
9.
December? Yeah, started last December. So yeah, so it's fun for us as a competitive podcast to be able to talk about a competitive scene.
Oh,
Finally,
100%. Yeah.
it's so awesome. Um, and so that was the first of the 3 event tour that they're doing. The second event is going to be at Miami TCG Con, which I know there's a ton of us that already planned on going to this event, and to see that it's actually part of the PPG OP Tour. It's pretty awesome. Because I believe Teddy's. Are you gonna try to go, or are you not going to this one, Teddy?
Yeah, I will not be able to make to that
Okay,
one.
so it's me, Spencer, Blake, and Mrs. Blake, I believe, that are going. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know how
No,
much anonymity she wants on the podcast.
We'll go with Mrs. Blake for now.
Yeah, very little information has been released about this yet, from as far as I could figure out. They haven't announced pricing or anything like that so far. So yeah, I hopefully it'll be a little closer to like a 5K or 10K. That's what I'm hoping for. Thoughts?
Yeah, the one thing that we do know is they're getting a lot of the Lorcana artists to attend. So you will be able to interact with them. And I believe part of the top prizing is being able to open a box of Lorcana with them and have cards signed with
that's
the artist, and have a photo with the artist as well. I think. And I think there's about a dozen that are announced to be there of the artists, so it's a good number of them.
There we go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's that's pretty sweet. I've actually applied to be a judge. So I'm waiting to hear back from that, as well as to see what the prize pool is, to see like which direction I want to take it, because I think getting into the judge scene could be pretty cool and fun and different. It's not something I've done, but I've been enjoying it a lot, helping people out with the rules and stuff like that, and the Discord and stuff has kind of been like become my bread and butter. So I kind of want to try that out. We'll see where it goes and what I decide to do in a future episode.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like it's going to be a lot of the same vibes we had at Gen Con, but it's not going to be as insane.
Yeah, it's not going to be a run for product.
No.
It's more about the artists and the events.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll all know when we got to go and play, and yep, it'll be good. And I do believe that the event in Colorado is 1 day. Do we know if that's going to continue? And they're just going to be 1 day events?
Oh, well, the event in Colorado is 1 day, but the event in Miami and the next one in GalaxyCon in Columbus is 2 days.
Right, that's what I saw from their post as well. So I assumed that it was going to be since it'll probably be double the players, so that would make sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that with uh, the one in Denver being legitimately next weekend,
Just such short notice, yeah.
yeah, they weren't able to get as much product in hand, but with the restock in mid-September, with all of the stuff that we are hearing is coming, I'm guessing Miami and GalaxyCon will both have a lot more pricing and more uh, things to give out. And I wouldn't be surprised if Miami, there's like artist signatures that, well, because I know wasn't it? I think you just said this, Blake. The thing with like the winner gets all the artists to sign and the signatures and stuff. Yeah. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like they'll have more stuff then, and I guess this can segue into GalaxyCon. That one is December 2nd and 3rd, which
Columbus,
is
Ohio.
yeah. I'll be at this one. Hopefully,
Yeah,
crossing my fingers.
yeah, me and Teddy will be at that one. Hopefully. Well, I know
Uh,
I'm gonna be. I don't know about Teddy though.
it's like 40-60 right now, but it'll change. Hopefully, change. But I'm gonna guess like that one is the big box weekend release of set 2.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna guess
That's
that
exciting.
set 2 won't be legal then. If they do it like by any other game, they're gonna give it a few weeks for people to get. Even though stores will get it 2 weeks earlier, I still don't think set 2 will be legal then. Uh, it could be. We don't know, but I'm gonna guess there could be even pricing like for set 2 boxes there as well. So that is probably the one that flashes the biggest at me, like the biggest wanting to go, and the fact that it is right after set 2, and we could have a lot of stuff come from that.
That's very fair. Yeah, pricing is probably definitely going to be set 2 stuff, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would be surprised if it wasn't set 2 stuff. I'm right there with you, Teddy. I agree. I think it's going to be. It's the timing is too good for it to not be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, especially if that's release weekend for big box, people have already had their hands on product. People are going to get more product that weekend. If you're going to try to put the last set into players' hands at that point, they're going to walk away unsatisfied.
Yeah.
That's exciting, though. I hadn't thought of that, Teddy. That's really exciting to think
Yeah,
about. So,
that's probably one of the biggest draws for me going there, and I'm gonna guess the entry fee will be higher and all that. But I mean, if we can see like a good established, maybe not established, but like a good consistent metagame come out of these first 2 events, then I think I think that's gonna be a pretty big event. And I know like it might be harder to travel to the Midwest in the winter for some people. With like if there's snow or anything like that, there's a lot more delayed flights, at least up here during that time. So that could possibly put a damper on it. But if it's set 2 pricing, if it's a bigger player pool, then I guarantee you it's going to be a pretty fun event that a lot of people are going to remember.
yeah, I could see that being another place where a lot of us meet up, especially since there are like quite a number of us that are in the Midwest that could easily drive there, even in the dead.
Yeah.
Let's face it, early December in the Midwest isn't really that bad yet.
No, not really.
So I think it'll be fine. Like I'm planning on driving. I think it'll be okay. Like you said, it could stop flights, sure, but I mean, hopefully no worse than what everybody already experienced with Gen Con.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
And the cool thing is like that, you kind of touched on, Teddy, is that this is going to be, making the assumptions that we're making, the last like set 1 tournament, which
Right.
would be like, that's another like really big deal.
It's true.
Which is crazy to think about.
Like what decks are going to come out swinging? What decks are going to be irrelevant now? Like it could be the last hurrah for a lot of stuff. You don't know.
Yeah.
Or good stuff could just get better. I mean, that could happen too.
Yeah, I think with like a new set, always stuff. There's counters for other decks, but then these like you can look at like Mew from Pokemon. You always think that deck was going to get worse, but it just kept getting better and better as the sets went on. Um, and I think there's going to be a deck like that in this game, whether it come from a new set, because you have to think there's three different things. There's going to be decks that like were mid tier that are going to get bumped up to high tier. There's going to be high tier decks that get bumped down to mid tier, but there's also going to, or I guess there's four tiers. The third tier is there's going to be high tier decks that get even better, and then there's going to be a whole new deck.
Oh
Whole
yeah,
new
there's
deck
gonna be
cycle.
rogue decks. Yeah, there'll be
Yeah.
rogue decks that are just we couldn't even put them together before for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just it's going to be there's going to be a lot of hype around it. I think a lot of people are going to travel if the pricing is good and it's set to stuff. Then I'm going to guess it's going to be a mixture because I don't know how much they'll be able to get a hold of. I'm hoping a lot, but I could see it being a mixture of set 1 and set 2 stuff for sure.
And I mean, you got to figure if they're going to keep along with the model that they've presented with set 1, we could get new accessories, get new any number of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
New playmats, yeah,
Oh yeah,
all sorts of stuff.
yeah. Everybody loves a good playmat. All right, yeah. So I mean, I know we're all very excited about this. I know we know a lot of other content creators that are also they've been grinding games. They're getting ready. They're putting the reps in for this stuff. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a blast. I think the last thing we wanted to talk about was like the market watch and some prices and how they deal with, or how that affects deck building in a competitive format.
Yeah. I know like this was something I brought up, but like I think a little bit I don't know when it was, but like these prices they weren't that expensive about a week ago. But then you saw people starting to buy and now we're seeing like these bigger rares be more like super rares and legendaries. But they're like they're $30-$40 range right now. And like a lot is still like at 15 in that range, like 10 to 20. So decks I feel like right now is an interesting time to try to buy, but then when we get to store release next weekend and like there's even more stuff flooding the market, my prediction is it's going to go down and deck building will be a little bit easier, but you still have to realize that like these cards will still be a bit expensive if you want to get them in hand.
From what I understand, from what I've been hearing, the whispers are there's not so much a flood hitting big box stores, but more of a trickle.
Oh,
But I mean,
I would hear
that's all speculation at this point, I think.
yeah.
No, there was an article where a guy was quoted saying that it was not a big allotment for big box stores. So we'll see. A lot of people are really worried that the prices will get worse. I don't think they'll get worse, but I don't know that they'll get a lot better.
Yeah.
Because like some of the prices, like if you go and just look at the cards in general, it's not terrible. Like as far as some TCGs go.
Yeah.
You got to figure there's it's the first time set 1 has come out. Like prices are crazy when there's such a scarcity of product.
Oh yeah, 100%. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, plus you got to consider there's a lot of like other factors going on right now with the singles market. Like all the people that bought boxes for $350 are invested in keeping those singles prices high. So you are seeing a lot of like buyout low, relist, like that kind of stuff going on. But yeah, I think someone did the math for a bunch of the various quote unquote meta decks right now. And the most expensive one was $600, which is, it's on the high end of like
That's the one running Rapunzel's, right?
No, that's actually the Amber Amethyst. Just because the amount of legendaries that deck is running is really high. Yeah, and that's expensive, but it's also we're dealing with a first set of a brand new huge IP with a shortage. And so if you look at it, and even then it's still only at the high end of standard costs for other games. And so I think once Ravensburger gets the supply issue figured out, we're going to see, this game be competitively playable for much, much cheaper.
Yeah, you'll see like many other games. You'll see like $200 decks at the high end, in my opinion. Hopefully we can get to that point at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like somewhere in between Pokemon and Digimon levels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Disney wants this game to be that expensive, especially for like if families are gonna try to play it and they want to buy these cards, they want it to be accessible for everyone. And I think if they can, like Spencer said, if they get this supply issue stuff figured out, then they should be able to the market should settle down a little bit. But with it being the first cards ever, they're gonna be a bit expensive.
Oh yeah. Well, that was it for us, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know it was great for us. See you later, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Glimmer Gang Podcast. If you want to hear more great content from us, make sure you check out our YouTube, our Twitter. All of our socials are linked down below. And we hope you guys have a fantastic day and Glimmer On.